Something I always tell people that are producing some sort of craft or product is always photograph your work. I've always been really good about photographing the stuff I do. Sometimes I put more effort into it than others. But product photography, it's a specialty in itself. But I'm just going to cover some really basic things. And I've got a lot of camera equipment, but we're not going to use that. I'm going to use stuff that you probably have. Some light fixtures like these, you probably have them hanging up in the garage, and a phone. So we're going to see how good a photo we can do of two different things just using these. I make these kind of a carry-all tray. It's a charger for my phone and for my watch, and it's got a little leather inlay here. And we're going to photograph that. And then also, we're going to photograph something larger, those tractor grill tables I just finished. We're going to photograph one of those. I'm using my iPhone. Most modern smartphones have a pretty good camera on them. They struggle a little bit in darker light, but for what we're doing here, I think it'll be just fine. Set that aside for now. All right, the light fixtures. I've got two of them. I had one, and then I went and bought the other one. It's $10 at Lowe's. The LED bulbs I got from Walmart. They're $2 and something cents each. The color temperature on them is 5,000, which is kind of like a noon sun, which will give us pretty good color rendition. And they're not very strong. They're only a 40-watt replacement. So we will use those. I'm going to use a tripod. You can get tripods really cheaply at any thrift store or whatever. And I've got a little cell phone holder that screws right onto the tripod. So you want to separate your product from the background. The simplest way to do that is just with a roll of paper. So this paper is bulletin board paper, black. It's not glossy. I don't want any reflection coming back from the paper, so it's just a bit of a matte black, I hope. And of course, they make backdrops that are 10, 12 foot wide, and they're 10, 15 feet long, so you can do large stuff with it. I don't have anything like that in my shop, but I'd like to at some point. Oh, so close. All right, let's find something a bit smaller. What do I need to do? I need to find somewhere to hang my lights now. So I'm going to put my product about here, and I want lights on either side pointing down at about a 45-degree angle to the light, just to decrease shadows. So I've got my backdrop sort of set up. I need some way of hanging my lights, so I might just hang one off my air hose here. And then I've got a ladder, so I'm going to move those. Now, one thing that seems to pop up quite often in photos is dust. So make sure you clean off whatever you're taking a photo of. I'm just going to clean up these cords. I don't want to show the cords. I think you can kind of infer that they are there when they come off the back of it. And so I'll use just some spacers or something to put it at an angle and maybe just bring it up off of the paper a little bit. There we go. Now that I have it adjusted how I want, I'm going to move the phone around just to get the photo I want. So I'm going to turn off the lights, and we'll see what it looks like through the camera. This is the view through the phone, and here is a photo. Now I'm looking at this and just trying to figure out how I can make it better. I'm getting a bit of reflection from the lights off the back of the sheet. I can try moving it forward a bit, and I think I am going to try and move it forward a little bit, or closer to the camera, to see if I can get rid of that shine coming off of the paper. So I raised my camera up a little bit, and I'm shooting down at a steeper angle, and that seems to have cut out more of the background. And I think that's it. There's no reason to get carried away here. So this is the setup I ended up with. Just the two lights here pointed down at a 45. For what it is, it's fine. It'll work. Now we're going to move on to the larger piece, which is going to be a bit more difficult, and it's going to require maybe a little bit more setup. It helps if you have an idea in your head of the photo you want to achieve or get. And I do. I want this table to be lit up. I want the other table to be in the background with just its LED lights on, and I want it to be blurry. So I'm going to use the portrait mode on my phone, and that will throw the background out of focus. I'm going to make a shade for these two lights with that same craft paper that I used as the backdrop. And I'll point them at a 45 coming at the table here, and I'll put them up in the rafters. I'm going to take this photo tonight. That way I can really just isolate this table from everything else in the shop, all the clutter. It's a good way of getting around having to clean your shop. So, but there's nothing to keep me from getting it all set up now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some shades for this. I'm going to kind of get the camera or my phone in the spot where I want it. And we'll get started on that. So I have my two poorly constructed lampshades here with the same craft paper. I kept the black on the inside because I didn't want the white reflecting a bunch of light around. So I'm going to put them up in the rafters, and again, point them both at about a 45-degree angle coming down at this table. And that's about all I can do until it gets dark. Something else to keep in mind is that you really want to fill up your frame with what you're photographing. So do this, not this. Also, don't be a one-trick pony. Mix it up a little bit. Don't use the same type of setup for every project, because your projects will all start looking the same even if they're not. I will take stuff outside. I'll put it in the leaves. I'll put it in the grass. I'll put it on the concrete pad just to mix it up a little bit. But for now, I think we're done, so I'll come back tonight. So I've got my two little 40-watt bulbs going. I've got the camera pretty much set on auto and a 3-second timer so that I'm not shaking the phone when I'm hitting it to take the photo. So this is what it looks like. Because these are taller than they are wide, I rotated the camera and I'm shooting them vertical. Again, you want to fill up the frame, and so that's what I've done. So looking at the original photos, they were missing something. You couldn't really get an idea of size of the table. So what I did is I just brought a bottle of alcohol here and a couple of glasses. And that gives some context to the actual size of this table, because I'm not going to be in the photo. So this is what that photo looked like. So I think I mentioned before that I wanted to try and get this back table to be kind of blurry, but I wasn't able to do it. I tried using the portrait mode, but the camera's too far away, so it wouldn't do that. Of course, your camera might be different, or your phone might be different. I take a lot of photos, and quite often I find that the one I intended to take is not my favorite. So it's one of the photos I took along the way. Considering there's $20 in the lights and I'm using my phone camera, they came out pretty good. It just shows you what you can do. I'm glad they didn't come out great because it'd be hard for me to justify buying more camera equipment to my wife. So lots of different ways to do this. Hopefully you picked up something that might help you in the future, but I just want to encourage you to take photos of your projects. Thanks for watching. See you next time.